I've practically been animating as long as I've done digital art as a hobby, and I've picked up a few things that have helped me speed up the process over the years. So here are 5 tips on designing OCs that will hopefully help you animate faster. Simplified Design. The time it takes to draw an extra character detail multiplies with each drawing, so make sure you are willing to draw your OC's design dozens of times. Try breaking down your character's core components and see how many details you can take away while still communicating their personality and design. If you have an already existing OC and are unwilling to change the character but find the design too complex for animation, you can try the next tip, which is changing your OC's outfits, experimenting with your OC's closet. This is also a great exercise to explore your character further through what they would wear. If you plan to animate your OC in a specific scenario, what would they wear and how can you make those clothes streamlined for animation? Speaking of streamlined for animation, a great transition. Animation means drawing your OC in many angles and poses. Keeping your character consistent can be very difficult. The next tip is creating turnaround reference sheets or using previous drawings as reference. Yes, I know drawing reference sheets can be boring, but it helps immensely and speeds up your process. Drawing objects and props can also be a pain. A great way to speed up the process while still having the animation look solid is using a 3D model as reference. My OC Azumi's sword is pretty oddly shaped, and I struggle with drawing it in 3D space, so I made a 3D model for it in Blender, and it's certainly not the most polished 3D model out there, but it helps in getting the right angle. I've modeled a couple weapons for my OCs in Blender, and I will admit, it is a bit difficult to pick up. If you don't want to do this, you can also use already existing 3D models or commission an artist to model it for you. Moving on to the next tip, which is limiting color palette or color in general. Design-wise, coloring in animation can be much more tedious than coloring a single illustration because you have to constantly switch between colors. Limiting your OC's color palette can help shorten that time. For example, my OC Orion's hair, eyelashes, eye, and cloak are all the same shade of purplish black, and he's one of my easiest characters to color while still being readable, in my opinion. Additionally, with OC projects, you have the choice to use little to no color at all. For example, my Not Your Seat animatic, I did not fully color the individual characters and tried to keep the colors monochromatic to the scene. I was able to finish the 3-minute animatic in 3 months compared to the half a year it probably would have taken me if I were to fully color it. And how you approach your animation is completely up to you, which leads me to my last tip. Find out what works for you. All of these tips are merely suggestions and are what personally worked for me. When you draw your OCs a bunch, you will find ways to speed up the process and draw faster naturally. Also, take into consideration, speed isn't needed to enjoy animation. Everyone animates at their own pace, and that's fine. The number one thing that should be put first is having fun. That's what OCs are for. Hope these help. Comment if there are any animations you are working on or want to do. That's about all from me. Koi out.